Honorable members, prayers. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and our good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. Amen. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, item 2. Formal communication by the Speaker. First, I'll be giving you the I received from His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, whilst the House was on recess. I received five communications from him on absence from Ghana. The first was dated 1st April 2020, where he had to travel to Niamey, the capital of the Republic of Niger, and he had to comply with the constitutional provision. And so he communicated to the House through me. Again, on the 14th of April, he did a similar communication when he had to travel to Brazzaville, the capital of the Republic of Ghana. And on the 10th of May, 2021, he had to also travel to Kampala, the capital of the Republic of Uganda. And finally, on the 23rd of April, he also traveled to Freetown, capital of the Republic of Sierra Leone, formerly called Saloni. Honorable members, this is to inform you and through you to the people of Ghana that he has complied with all the constitutional requirements, usually before departing to those countries. I also received from His Excellency the President a communication on the nomination of a Minister of State and Deputy Ministers. I know you are already aware of this through various means, either rumor mill or the media, both traditional social media. But for our records, it's important I read this communication to be captured by the official reports of the House. It's dated the 21st of April 2021 and is to Mr. Speaker. I hope this finds you well and in good spirits. In accordance with Article 79(1) of the Constitution of the Republic, I'm submitting through you to Parliament for its prior approval the names of persons I intend to appoint, either as a Minister of State or as Deputy Ministers after consultation with their relevant Ministers of State in my government to assist the Ministers in the performance of their duties. The names and designations of the nominees are set out below. Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, Charles Edu Boahin. Then the Deputy Ministers. The Deputy Minister at the Ministry of Finance, two of them. One, Honorable Abina Osei Asare, MP, and two, Honorable John Ampontua Kuma, MP. Then three at the Ministry of Trade and Industry, in the persons of Honorable Nana Dokwa Asiema Ajay, MP, Honorable Michael Ochiri Befi, MP, and Mr. Herbert Crapper. Three at the Ministry of Energy, Honorable Mohammed Amin Adam, MP, Honorable William Uroku Edu, MP, and Honorable Andrew Ejapa Mesa, MP. Three at the Ministry of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development. They are in the persons of Honorable Augustine Collins Intim, MP, Honorable Osei Bonsu Amwa, MP, Honorable Martin Ajay Mensah Kosa, also MP. Two at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Honorable Thomas Mbomba, MP, and Honorable Kweku Amprachum Sapon, MP. Two at the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General, in the persons of Mr. Alfred Chua Yeboah and Ms. Dinah Asonaba Dapa. 2, at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Honorable Yafrimpong Edu, MP, and Honorable Mohammed Hadi Tuferu, MP. 2, at the Ministry of Education, in the person of Honorable John Intim Fojo, MP, and Honorable Gifty Chung Ampofo, MP. 2, at the Ministry of Health, Honorable Tina Gifty Mensa, MP, and Honorable Mahama Asay Seini, MP. Lands and Natural Resources, 2, Honorable Benito Ousubio and Honorable George Mreku Duka. We have 2 at the Ministry of Roads and Highways, Honorable Mavis Nkansa Boedu and Honorable Stephen Pambin Jalula, MP. 2 at the Ministry of Transport, Honorable Hassan Tambulti, MP, and Honorable Frederick Obing Adom, MP. 1 at the Ministry of Defense, Honorable Kofi Amankwa Menu, MP, and 1 at the Ministry of Interior, Honorable Nana Eya Kwansa, MP. 1 at the Communications and Digitalization, that is Honorable Ama Puma Boateng, and 1 at the Ministry of Works and Housing, Honorable Abdullahi Abanga, MP. At the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Honorable Moses Enim, MP, and 1 at the Ministry of Railway Development, Honorable Kweku Asante Boateng, MP. 1 at the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, Honorable Amidu Isahaku Chinie, MP, and 1 at the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mr. Mark Okreku Mante. At the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, we have 1, Honorable Larba Zuwera Abuju, MP. And we have 1 at the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, in the person of Honorable Bright Reku Brobe, MP. We also have 1 at the Ministry of Information, Ms. Fatimatu Abubakari. And the last, but not the least, at the Youth and Sports Ministry, we have Honorable Evans Opoku Bobie, MP. I would be very grateful if Parliament would expedite the process of prior approval of my nominees so they can take on government forthwith and assist me to deliver on my mandate for the second term. Accept, Mr. Speaker, the assurances of my highest cooperation. Yours sincerely, Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic. I received on the 30th of April a letter dated 29th April 2021 on the appointment of a special prosecutor. I proceed to read. Mr. Speaker, appointment of special prosecutor. I hope this finds you in good health and spirits. A letter dated 16th November 2020, Mr. Martin Alamisi Benz Keiza Amidu, the first occupant of the office of special prosecutor, resigned from his position as special prosecutor. I accepted his resignation and instructed the Chief of Staff, Akusua Frema Ose Opare, to convey my acceptance by letter dated 17th November 2020. In accordance with Section 13(8) of the Office of Special Prosecutor Act 2017, Act 959, I am required to appoint a person qualified for appointment as Special Prosecutor to that position within 6 months of the Office of Special Prosecutor becoming vacant. Pursuant thereto, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Mr. Godfred Yeboah-Dame, by letter dated 16th April 2021, nominated under Section 13(3) the name of Mr. Kisi Ajebeng for appointment as the second occupant of the office. I have accepted the Attorney General's nomination. Mr. Ajebeng was called to the bar in October 2003 and holds a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of Ghana, Master of Laws degree from Scarlett School of Law, Dalhousie University, Canada, and Cornell Law School, USA. Since 2006, Mr. Ajebeng has been teaching criminal law at the Faculty of Law, University of Ghana, Legon, whilst engaged in private law practice. I deem him eminently qualified for this office. I am thus seeking the approval of Parliament for the appointment of Mr. Kisi Ajebeng as Special Prosecutor. I have enclosed his curriculum vitae for consideration. It is my respectful hope and expectation that the due dispatch which characterized the approval of the first occupant of the Office of Special Prosecutor in 2018 and the approval of my ministerial nominees by Parliament earlier this year will be extended to the consideration of Mr. Kisi Ajebeng's appointment. Yours sincerely and best wishes, Nana Adudang. I strongly refer the two, first involving the nominees, ministers of state and deputy ministers, and then the second dealing with the nomination of the second special prosecutor to the Appointments Committee for consideration and report to the House. Honourable members, let me take this opportunity to warmly welcome you from the long interactive session with your constituents. As you recall, the House adjourned Senate Day on Tuesday, 30th March 2021. Honourable members, I'm observing those who have decided to hold different sessions. Please, the honeymoon period is over. We are in a transitional period now, and we'll start enforcing the rules. From experience, I know these recesses are very stressful but healthy periods of an MP's life. These are not sedentary moments, but agile and mobile Johnny Walker seasons, where MPs visit constituents. I hope the visits to the communities and people have exposed you a lot more to the reality of the life of the ordinary Ghanaian, and has thus humbled and prepared you to better represent the interests of the people and the nation in the House. This particular recess was also a period of prayer and supplication, a period of deep reflection and introspection as the nation went through fasting and communion with our God during the Ramadan and Easter seasons. Ghana is a spiritual and overly religious country. I pray that God heard and answered our prayers and supplications and has changed us to be better leaders. I pray He will also grant us good health, open and good hearts to listen to each other with the intent to understand and not to reply to the feedback being delivered. We should always remember that we cannot fix ourselves by breaking someone else. Yes. During the recess, I approved the request of a number of committees to reach out to some regions and state institutions to perform oversight duties. The committees of local government and rural development, environment, science and technology, as well as works and housing, visited various regions of the country to inspect some projects and to interact with public officials and sections of the society. The Public Accounts Committee and the Lands and Forestry Committee also had sessions with the sector ministries, commissions, agencies and departments under their jurisdiction. I commend the leadership and members of these committees highly for the tenacity of purpose and wish to use it to call on the other committees to do the same. The Standing Orders Committee, which I chair, also had the opportunity to sit to consider and apply finishing touches to the draft Standing Orders of Parliament. The committee has decided, upon concluding its work, to present it to the House in accordance with the provisions of Article 11 of the 1992 Constitution and Orders 77 and 166 of the Standing Orders of the House. The committee took due notice of the informal practice and process of pre-laying constitutional and statutory instruments before the subsidiary legislation committee and has agreed to follow same before presentation of the draft standing orders to the House. I thank all members who attended the committee sittings to help in fine-tuning the draft standing orders. Honorable members, I received a purported letter of resignation from the Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, just a few hours before Parliament recessed. By the rules of the House, my acceptance of his resignation would have been ultra-vires for my position and powers as a Speaker of Parliament. It was, however, procedurally intra-vires for my position as the Chairman of the Committee of Selection, acting for and on behalf of the committee. I accordingly received the letter on behalf of and for the consideration of the committee, which is to prepare, compose, and present a report on the standing and select committees of the House for your approval. The members of the Committee of Selection were also recalled from recess to consider a purported resignation, and I emphasize the word purported resignation of the honorable member. The committee will soon finalize and present its report to the House for consideration. I will not preempt the outcome of the meetings of the committee. Honorable members, it is true, like medical practitioners, there is no rest for an MP. I repeat, it is true, like medical practitioners, there is no rest for an MP. This meeting promises to be very busy. Apart from seeing to an early passage of the new standing orders of the Parliament of Ghana, the House is expected to consider and pass into law a number of important bills. These include the Petroleum Revenue Management Amendment Bill 2021, the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2020, the Exemptions Bill 2021, and a number of private members' bills, while anxiously await the presentation of the all-important Affirmative Action Bill. The latest information has it that the Affirmative Action is before Cabinet. Some private members' motions, and in fact we have a lot of them, and international agreements, treaties, and conventions also await the consideration of the House. I can only urge members to size up and prepare for hard work and long sitting hours. Honorable members, I have not forgotten the importance of today in the calendar of Africa. Today marks the anniversary celebrations of the African Union Day. The theme for this year's celebration is Art, Culture and Heritage, Levers for Building the Africa We Want. The theme is meant to focus the celebration of the day to reflect on how Africa could leverage the infinite resources of creative arts, culture, and our proud heritage to drive development. The theme is meant to also draw attention to how individually and collectively African countries could with the guidance of the SMART initiative detailed in the African Agenda 2063, harness the treasures of creative art, culture, and heritage to promote and develop the continent. I am hopeful Ghana will take advantage of the opportunity created by the team to show our art, culture, and heritage to the world, else we'll be left behind. I want to wish you all a joyous African Union Day celebration, and I have admitted a statement in that regard. Honorable members, COVID-19 is real and continues to devastate most countries in Europe and Asia, with India being the latest worst-hit country. I would like to take this opportunity to remind members that Ghana, our beloved country, is not out of the woods yet. Some of us had the opportunity to take our second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine a few days ago. This does not in any way give us total immunity against the disease. I am informed that the 2 doses of vaccine provide only 75% immunity. We are accordingly advised to continue to observe the necessary COVID-19 protocols. Whilst at it, the figures from the second doses of vaccines administered indicate that 109 members of Parliament, 164 management staff, and 419 other staff members of Parliament availed themselves for the second dose. Judging from our staff and the membership of the House, it is clear that there are more members of Parliament and staff of the Parliamentary Service who are yet to take the second dose. I want to assure you that arrangements are being made for MPs and staff members to complete the dose required in order to be fully vaccinated. Details on that will be communicated when ready. The policy on the need for staff and members of the House to space out as a means of decongesting the offices, the Chamber of Parliament, and other areas of the presence of Parliament is still the best way to go. Let us all endeavor to observe that. With these remarks, I once more warmly welcome you all to the second meeting of the first session of the 8th Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, and let us have a fruitful meeting that will inure to the benefit of the citizens of our beloved country. With this, I thank you so much for your attention. Honourable members, item 3, correction of votes and proceedings and official report. I have a copy of the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 30th March 2021, and a copy of the official report of Wednesday, 3rd March 2021. We will start with the votes and proceedings. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Yes, Honorable Ablakwa.
Let's get to Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, please, the last but 3 paragraph, the first line, the Right Honourable Speaker on the issue of procedure, espoused. It should be ESPOUSED and not how it has been captured here. So if it can be respectfully corrected.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Please, spelling of espoused. Table office to take note. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Page 15. Page 16. Page 17. Page 20. Page 21. Page 22. Page 23. Page 24. Page 25. Page 26. Page 27. Page 28. Page 29. Page 30. Page 30. Page 32. Page 33. Page 34. Page 35. Page 36. Page 37, page 38, page 39, page 40. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'll make reference to item 78, paragraph 3, and the last line. I believe the word is wished and not wised. The last line, the business of the House, and wished all a happy Easter celebration. So it's wished and not wished.
Yes,
Why?
Honourable Member, you are right.
Thank you.
Table office, take note. Sorry. Page 41. Page 42. Page 43. Page 44. Page 45. Page 46. Page 47. Page 48. Page 49. Page 50. Page 51. Page 52. Page 53. Page 54. Honourable members, the votes and proceedings of the 35th sitting of the first meeting of the first session held on Tuesday, 30th March 2021, as corrected, are adopted as a true record of proceedings. Honourable members, Honourable members, official report of Wednesday, 30th March 2021. Yes, Honourable Ablakwa.
Most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, a few corrections at column 090, the second paragraph. The name of His Excellency President Nana Akufo-Addo has not been captured correctly, if it can be amended. And then, as a speaker, at column 091, the second paragraph, B, the airport antigen test, and then ECOWAS nationals. There are a number of omissions there. So if it can be corrected, it appears that we're having a difficult time with the printers. And then, Mr. Speaker, at column 093, the last paragraph, the name of the Honorable Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. The Hansard is not consistent with the name. At this column, Ms. Boche is spelled with an A. At column 089 is spelled with an E. I believe that the correct rendition is the one with an A. So if we can see some consistency in that regard, Mr. Speaker. And then at column 106, there are a number of omissions, including a wrongful rendition of the name of the Minister for Education, the Honorable Dr. Educhum. There are a lot of omissions in that paragraph, the first paragraph, column 106. So if they can take a second look at it. And finally, at column 116, get fund should also be corrected accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Table office, kindly take note. Honorable members, the official report of Wednesday, 3rd March 2021, as corrected, represent the true records of proceedings. Honorable members, before we move to item 4, I will have to give opportunity to your leaders to say a word or two in support of my welcome remarks. They are not limited to supporting my welcome remarks. Definitely, I know the leaders will have their own style and way of presenting things. So we start with the Honorable Haruna Idrisu.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank you for the opportunity and to also welcome you formally back as you open the first sitting of the second meeting of the 8th Parliament of Ghana. And Mr. Speaker, to thank Allah Almighty for His graciousness of your life and health and that of honorable members, and to continue to pray for God's grace, for good health, for your good self, and our colleagues. And Mr. Speaker, to believe that as I welcome our colleagues back, we come very refreshed to exercise our mandate as lawmakers of the country and to endeavor to hold the executive accountable to the letter and spirit of the Constitution within the framework of separation of powers and the checks and balances that are allowed in the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, in welcoming you, probably I should respond one. The chairman of the Appointments Committee, as you are aware, is on a mission abroad. The referral by you to him, which you able to him, he engaged members of the Appointments Committee, and thanks to technology, we met virtually and agreed to begin or commence the scrutiny of the Deputy Minister's nominees on the 2nd of June, and probably will take them in batches of 4-4, depending upon what the COVID protocols and interests may allow us. Mr. Speaker, the only matter that the committee did not discuss was in respect of the position of the nomination of the special prosecutor. I believe when we so meet on 2nd June, we will communicate to the public how we intend to undertake the exercise of finding a replacement to Honorable Martin Alamishi Hamidu as He then was a special prosecutor. I have always insisted that what is it that a special prosecutor can do that an attorney general cannot do? That has always been my position, consistent with Article 88 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, whilst at 8, during the recess, there were some threats to the peace and cohesion of our country emanating from some section of our religious leaders. May I use this opportunity to call on all Ghanaians, and in particular our religious leaders, not to do or engage in any conduct or action that will jeopardize our standing as an oasis of peace and a country noted and respected for peaceful coexistence and religious tolerance. The Constitution in Article 21 guarantees the right to freedom of conscience, including the freedom of religion and belief. And we should just respect that and observe those rights. Every Ghanaian is entitled to those benefits. Mr. Speaker, we are concerned about the takeoff of the second term of President Nana Akufo-Addo. He seemed very slow. Many boards and corporations are still not constituted. Yet the success and failures of many of our state and governance institutions hinges on the performance of these boards. Their policy, their administration is contingent on them. It is not for nothing that he must act in earnest in getting those boards and corporations properly constituted. It is not right and appropriate, for instance, for policymakers to be doubling as regulators. In fact, Mr. Speaker, our decentralization system has come to a near halt. In many metropolitan municipal districts, there are no district chief executives. So one just wonders what goes on at the local level and at the decentralized level. Mr. Speaker, in respect of deputy minister nominees, may I caution that the ruling in J. Mensah versus Attorney General 1997-98 is still succinct. There are many of them who are in a hurry to, even whilst Parliament have not considered their nomination. May I, Mr. Speaker, serve a warning that in accordance with the ruling in J. Mensah versus Attorney General, they will be in a hurry at their own peril, because they must respect the provisions of the which guarantees a shared responsibility between the President as head of the executive and Parliament in getting them approved. Many of them are already reporting to officers, some even taking actions. In fact, I have requested that some recording will be done for my purposes to expose those who are leaping too early ahead of the parliamentary approval. They may come back hiding that they are learning from their ministers' familiarization. But, Mr. Speaker, administrative executive decisions that they take will hold them accountable to it. So once again, Mr. Speaker, I wish you a hearty, warm welcome to the parliamentary service. And to my colleague, the majority leader, I trust that he will endeavor to work for us to build consensus where necessary in the public interest. I've repeatedly said that we will not be an obstructionist in opposing government policy. We will be constructive, but where necessary, we will be uncompromising to save the state. So once again, Mr. Speaker, the President must be in a hurry to get boards and corporations constituted in time. It's wrong for ministers to be taking decisions on behalf of boards. That is not what was contemplated, that gave meaning to the creation of those institutions. That void must be avoided by the President. That void at the decentralization level, where you don't have DCs, MCs, and Metropolitan Chief Executive. 5 months. He has just 3.5 years barely as president to serve this country. And therefore, he must act timeously and act in a manner that better serves the Ghanaian people. As for the precipice of some trial of a crisis, energy crisis, economic crisis, which they will not admit, as the IMF and World Bank have given some eliminating facts about fiscal deficit of 15.5%, not what was reported by the acting Minister for Finance. We look forward to see where they just don't have fiscal space to operate, and they must come clear that the country is broke. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and once again to our colleagues, I wish everyone well, and I wish everyone God's grace. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much, and to the clerk and the parliamentary service.
It's now the turn for Leader Honorable Oseche Mensah Bonsu.
Speaker, I also rise to support the welcome that you extended to members of Parliament and indeed to the staff who have been facilitating the work of us parliamentarians. Speaker, I want to believe that we use the occasion to have some rest, because indeed we need the rest in order for us to position ourselves for the arduous responsibilities that we have during this second meeting. Mr. Speaker, during the holidays, we had two major observations relating to the two major religions in the country, that is Christians and Muslims. Speaker, the Easter activities marking the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ and the reconciliation that it engenders between humankind and God. Speaker, our colleague Muslims also had the Ramadan, a period of sanctification that also seeks to restore mankind to God in our relationship in order to secure the oneness with God that the two religions envisage. Mr. Speaker, there were a few developments, and my colleague and your good self have related to quite a few of them. Speaker, some related to some executive activities to halt the Galamsey operations. Speaker, we also heard and read about the arrest of some journalists. We have experienced as a nation some trippages in power supply. Speaker, in respect of these matters, we may require the relevant ministers to come to Parliament to speak to the issues so that we bring clarity to bear on these matters. Because there's been quite some space which is allowing for speculation and people inputting wrong information, which doesn't help our democratic governance. Mr. Speaker, the arrival of the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccines you alluded to, indeed, we could confirm, we would only appeal to members and staff to apply themselves in order to help us all to, Speaker, feel much more secure. Indeed, as you said, the AstraZeneca vaccines themselves, even for those of us who have had the second dose, we are still not out of the woods because the efficacy of it is around 70% we are told, which means that about 30% room still is still there for us to cover our backs, Mr. Speaker. So we need, for those of them who haven't taken the second dose, to apply themselves immediately. It will help all of us, as I said, feel much more secure. Mr. Speaker, we are aware that our colleagues of the Pan-African Parliament have gone to attend to the business of the Parliament on behalf of our Parliament. Those at the ECOWAS Parliament would also be going, I guess, today. And the President is required to open the session of the ECOWAS Parliament on Thursday, which then means that our colleagues at the ECOWAS Parliament will not be with us. The Speaker, you related to the list of the Minister of State nominee and the Deputy Minister nominees. The Speaker, as the Minority Leader has informed, the committee meeting has agreed to commence the vetting of the nominees beginning 2nd June. That then means if they're able to make the progress that we think they'll be able to make, because we've agreed to vet 4 nominees per sitting, it will enable them to complete the entire list, I guess, before the 17th of May of June. Speaker, along the line, we may have to approve of the list that they prepare to us, such that by the close of day on the 18th of June, we would have finished with the consideration of all of them to enable the President to appoint them to office on the 18th of June, barring any unforeseen circumstances. And Mr. Speaker, Parliament cannot be stampeded in this. And so when the Minority Leader alludes to the slowness of the President, these are some of the imperatives. These are some of the imperatives. We've been away. The list came to us some time ago. But Parliament cannot be stampeded. And so the committee that received the reference will have to do their own program and will have to be thorough in the process of consideration of these nominees. Mr. Speaker, the agenda for this House certainly is going to be very packed. And as you alluded to, it's important for us to gear up. Members would recollect that originally we were to resume on the 11th. And then we had to restructure because of the then anticipated ending of the Ramadan. To accommodate that, we then pushed it backwards to 18th. And then Parliament, the leadership, had a program to undertake within that time. And that is why we are now here, which means that we've lost about 2 weeks. And yet, the program was for us to adjourn Sine Die on the 6th of August. So, having lost 2 weeks, we need, Mr. Speaker, as you yourself have said, to work harder than usual to be able to transact the businesses that will be coming to us. Legislation bills coming to us, the supplementary appropriation bill, private members' bills and motions, affirmative action bill, and then many, many agreements that will be coming to us. Yesterday when we met the ministers, the Speaker, even though we haven't concluded the meeting with the ministers, we realized that there are not less 12 bills that we may have to deal with in the course of this meeting. Many of them very urgent, and many of them that, Mr. Speaker, you yourself have given the commitments, including in particular the affirmative action bill that we need to craft. So, Mr. Speaker, I would want to appeal to colleagues who have been assisting in the formulation and the crafting of bills to avail themselves. Unfortunately, we've lost key persons, key members in the House who were facilitating the crafting of bills. In particular, the Honourable Member for Finso South, who was the chairman of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, the Honorable Ben Abdullah. The Honorable Husseini decided not to contest. We will election, and Honorable Shaib. These are members who were assisting in a very profound manner the crafting of bills. Today, I can only see the Honorable Ahiafo as one of the remnants, and then the Honorable Enyimedu. Only two of them. So I want to appeal, in particular, the Speaker, the Honorable Agaga is beckoning that I should recognize him. I'll do so, except that his own contributions have been intermittent. Equally so for the Honorable Roxanne Dafiameko, who has tremendous potential, but they don't avail themselves as often as we want to have them. The Speaker, so it's an appeal to them that they should avail themselves much more than they have been doing. Mr. Speaker, you mentioned the review of the standing orders, and I agree with you that we should bring the consideration of the standing orders to a conclusion, saying that the committee is suggesting to us that we apply ourselves to Article 11.7 of the Constitution. I think that would be a matter for the House to decide on. The committee cannot impose anything on this House. And I'm saying so because, Mr. Speaker, the orders that we have were not approved by that route. And I do not know of orders of any of the established democracies that apply themselves to that route. That is through the imperatives of Article 11.7. Mr. Speaker, so this one that we have, that we are using, was not gazetted by the imperatives of Article 11.7. And that is why the amendments that we have experienced in this House have never submitted to the imperatives of Article 11.7. Mr. Speaker, so it is something that we may have to brainstorm on. If we apply ourselves to 11.7, what it means is that on any day, if we have to change anything, we have to go through that process of Article 11.7. But I don't know, as I said, of any that does that. But we are still learning, and as I said, we will brainstorm on that and choose what is the route that is appropriate to us. Having said so, Mr. Speaker, I am happy, Mr. Speaker, with the construct that you chose to describe what you said was the purported resignation of a member of the House from a committee. Mr. Speaker, Order 193 is clear. Order 193 is clear to us, and let's not do anything to undermine the authority of the leadership of any caucus or the authority of the leadership of any committee. In this case, the committee chaired by a good self. But it should start with the person's caucus so that the Speaker, constituted authority, will be legitimized. So I thank you for the advice that you have given to the Honorable Okudzeto, who otherwise is a very serious member of this House, and he takes his work in the House very seriously. I disagreed with him on this occasion on the route that he chose, and I thought that he should have stabilized himself first before coming up with this purported resignation. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I want to end on really echoing the welcome that I extend to members and to wish that we will rededicate ourselves to the business of this House in this meeting, which is going to be very Herculean because we have a rather tall order of business to transact. I want to believe that the staff, especially the table officers and the media persons that we have, would assist us in the discharge of our business. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity granted.
Honorable members, we now move to item 4 at page 2 of the order paper. Business statement for the first week to be presented by the chairman of the business committee.
Right, Honorable Speaker. The Business Committee met today, Tuesday, the 25th of May, 2021, and arranged business of the House for the first week ending Friday, the 28th of 2021. The committee accordingly submits its report as follows. The Speaker, you may read any available communication to the House as you have done this morning. Right, Honorable Speaker, taking cognizance that the Business Committee met only today to program business for the week, the committee determined that it would be impractical to schedule ministers to respond to questions in such short notice. Therefore, the committee has scheduled only the minister responsible for education to respond to an urgent question on Friday, the 28th of May, 2021. Other ministers of state will be scheduled in subsequent weeks to respond to questions asked relating to their respective ministries in the course of time. Speaker, pursuant to Order 70 sub 2, ministers of state may be permitted to make statements of government policy, and statements duly admitted by you, the Right Honourable Speaker, may be made in the House by honourable ministers honourable members in accordance with Order 72. The Speaker, bills may be presented to the House for first reading in accordance with Order 120. However, those of urgent nature may be taken through the various stages in one day in accordance with Order 119. Speaker, pursuant to Order 75, papers for presentation to the House may be placed on the order paper for lay. Committee reports may also be presented to the House for consideration. Motions may be debated and their consequential resolutions may be taken during the week. Honourable Speaker, Right Honourable Speaker, the Business Committee welcomes all members from recess. As honourable members may be aware, the House was originally expected to resume the second meeting, as I indicated earlier, on the 11th of May, later rescheduled to 18th of May. However, the exigencies of the time required that the second meeting resumed today, Tuesday, the 25th of May, 2021. This means that the House has lost, in essence, 2 weeks in its calendar for the meeting. Speaker, so I'm just amending that portion a bit. The second meeting is expected to be demanding of honourable members since a number of bills and other important businesses, including the media fiscal review of 2021, budget statement and economic policy of government of Ghana, and the supplementary estimate for the 2021 financial year to be considered. The House is also expected to consider reports of the Appointment Committee, His Excellency the President nominees for appointment as Deputy Ministers, and also the Minister of State. Speaker, you've just added the consideration of the Special Prosecutor. In view of the number of nominees to be considered, the Appointment Committee's reports may be presented to the House in 3 or more parts between the 16th, 17th, and 18th of June 2021. With regards to the bills to be considered during this meeting, honourable members are encouraged to lace up their legislative boots to enable consideration of bills at the various stages of consideration, especially the consideration stage. This resort has become necessary, having regards to the fact that many seasoned members with expertise in bill consideration took their seats or did not participate in the electioneering process in the lead-up to the 8th Parliament. Speaker, the word is 8th, not 8. 8th Parliament. Honourable members are entreated to brace up to the task ahead. The Speaker, the Business Committee expects the following formally to be presented to Parliament during the early parts of June 2021. We are having some dialogue with the respective ministers in order for them to bring these formally next week, failing which necessarily they will have to come in the third week. Speaker, the first one is proposed formula for distributing the districts and common funds for the year 2021. The proposed formula for the distribution of the Ghana Education Trust Funds for the year 2021, and the proposed formula for the disbursement of the National Health Insurance Fund for the year 2021. Contingent upon their presentation, the Committee of the Whole would consider them and present reports for debate at plenary. The Speaker, a joint caucus meeting is proposed to hold on Thursday, the 27th of May, 2021, after adjournment. Urgent pertinent matters will be discussed, and in this regard, all honourable members are encouraged to avail themselves at the meeting. Speaker, in accordance with Standing Order 160 sub 2 and subject to Standing Order 53, the Business Committee submits to this Honourable House the order in which the business of the House shall be taken during the week. Speaker, having sent members with copies of the draft, I would want to urge the Hansard Department to capture the entirety of the draft as having been read into the Hansard. Speaker, I so submit.
Honourable members, the business statement for the week has been presented by the chairman of the Business Committee. It's now for the consideration of the House. Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. As Honourable Speaker, I will join my colleagues to commend the Business Committee for a good job done. Mr. Speaker, in bullet 4, statutory funds, the caveat there given is that contingent upon their presentation, Committee of the Whole will consider them and present a report for approval. Mr. Speaker, yes, the holders of these offices must know that time is not on our side. Mr. Speaker, we are in May. By next week, we are ending the second quarter. And we are approving, we'll be entering the last month of the second quarter. Mr. Speaker, we are approving amount formulas that will be used from January to June, January to December. A whole year, half a year is almost gone. The formulas are not here. And Mr. Speaker, this thing, we've just returned from almost all the 16 regions as Committee of Local Government and Rural Development. Mr. Speaker, the assemblies are suffering. So if we say contingent upon the presentation of this formula for this Assembly Common Fund before we pass it, there is a law regarding it. Members of the offices must comply with the law by making sure that they present the formula for this Assembly Common Fund to Parliament on time, for it to be approved and for monies to be sent to them. So, Speaker, I'm saying this because there's a circular to them that no district assembly should procure or spend an amount more than 2,000 Ghana cedis. So, Speaker, a whole district assembly cannot do procurement for more than 2,000 cedis. And all these issues should be set aside, going for vetting to be reappointed. So, like the decentralization concept is totally collapsed. So, Speaker, we must put pressure for the formula to be presented to the House, for the House to approve, and for the monies to be sent to the decentralized units to start working. Not only that, Mr. Speaker, GET fund formula is also included. National Health Insurance formula is included. Mr. Speaker, Do we have people occupying these offices, or new ones are going to be appointed? If it's the old one, just bring the formula for us to go ahead and approve. We don't want to be told that Parliament is not showing. It's good the chairman and the leader of the House has included this in the business statement. But the caveat is what I'm worried about, that contingent upon the presentation of the formula, which is right, meaning the board is not in our court. If they don't bring them, we cannot pass. But let nobody sit somewhere and say that Parliament has not approved the formula.
Second Deputy Speaker to take the chair. I have to go and attend to some.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm joining the leader to send that. It should not only be contingent upon their presentation. Parliament must put pressure for the formulas to be presented on time. For the formula to be presented on time, for the House to approve, so that the letter there, the circular there, which is tightening the hands of the coordinating directors because there are no DCEs, that you cannot procure more than 2,000 Ghana cedis as a whole decentralized unit, Mr. Speaker, is not work. Somebody must pick for the district assemblies, and somebody must do his job for the money to be sent. So, Mr. Speaker, that is my only concern, so long as the business statement for next week is concerned. For this week is concerned. So, if this week we are talking of them to be presented next week when they are presented, and we approve them the following week, then when we approve them before they go to them, then when will the money be sent to the assemblies? If you are not interested in this assembly concern, we should say it. You should not be creating distress, giving people position, give them resources to work, then we are sitting on the resources. This is my concern, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, I can't see any
at the
other
expense of the
person.
dying masses. At the expense of the dying masses.
We'll call on the chairman of the business committee if he has anything to respond to what has been submitted by Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim. He may do so now.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I share the concern raised by the deputy, the first deputy. Speaker, I share the concern raised by the first deputy of the minority in respect of where we are as a country. Mr. Speaker, I think his worry is on my use of the word contingent. Mr. Speaker, he must know that you can't put something on nothing. If it doesn't come, we can approve of the formula. That's the point that I made. But if you heard me right, I went further to say that the formula shall have to be presented latest next week for us to approve of them. And we will insist that they do that. Indeed, yesterday when I met them, I raised the issues with all of them. The Minister for Health, the Minister for Education, and the Minister for Local Government. So they are all aware that by next week they should be submitting the formula to us for approval. And the Speaker, I think we must also set the record straight. There's not been any circular to any DC to step aside until reappointed. There was something circulating, but it's not authentic. It is a seal from the President or from the Minister responsible for local government. However, it was put in circulation. Only the originators know. But further to that, there's been another letter to disclaim ownership of that letter as emanating from the Presidency or from the Minister responsible for local government. But it's important because the coordinating directors themselves are not spending offices. They cannot spend if they are not authorized. And the reason why that circular went out, that they shouldn't, on their own, generate any expenditure. The Speaker, that is the import of it. But, happily, the process to nominate and indeed approve of the MMDCs by the President, who is the person vested with authority, has started. The President just wants to be consultative. I started early, I think it started last week, and it's ongoing in the various regions. And I believe in the next couple of weeks it will end, and the announcements will come from the President. So, Mr. Speaker, let's just hold our peace, except to insist that the formally, in respect to Assembly's common funds, the GET funds, and the NHIA are also submitted on time for approval, for consideration and approval by Parliament. I agree with him in that regard. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Honourable members, the business statement as presented is hereby adopted. Item number 5. The Right Honourable Honourable Leader, any directives?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to come under Order 53.2 to seek your leave, alter the business as set out on the order paper for today, so that I could present the papers listed under item 6. And then you may go back to item 5 to consider the statement that is before you. If you indulge me, Mr. Speaker, as I said, it's an appeal to you to grant me leave to accomplish the business set out as item number 6.
Very well. Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we have no objection except to that we want to know whether those people listed here are ready for distribution, because the standing order says as soon as sufficient copies are ready for distribution, the papers can be laid. Once they are ready to be distributed, we have no objection.
Mr. Speaker, visibility will be granted after I have laid the documents.
Honourable members, the report has been duly presented.
Semi-annual report of the Bank of Ghana on the Ghana Petroleum Funds for the period July 1st to December 31st, 2020.
Honourable members, the report has been duly presented. It is referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report.
Annual report on the staffing position of the Office of the President for the period 1st January to 31st December 2020.
Honourable members, the report is duly presented and is referred to the Committee on Employment and Social Welfare and State Enterprises. Majority Leader.
Annual report of the University of Professional Studies, Accra, UPSA, for the year 2020.
Honourable members, the report is duly presented and referred to the Committee on Education for consideration and report.
Budget performance report in respect of the Office of the Special Prosecutor for the period January to December 2020.
Honourable members, they are duly presented and is referred to the Committee on Constitutional and Legal Affairs for consideration and report.
Budget performance report in respect of the National Commission for Civic Education for the period January to December 2020.
Honourable members, the report is duly presented and is referred to the Committee on Special Budget for consideration and report.
Budget performance report in respect of the Ministry of Monitoring and Evaluation for the period January to December 2020.
Honourable members, the report is duly presented and referred to the Committee on Finance for consideration and report. Honourable members, item number 5. Statement. The Right Honourable Speaker has accepted or admitted commemorative statement on African Day, which is observed by African Union members on every 25th May, and today there is a commemorative statement that stands in the name of Honourable Member for North Tongue, Honourable Samuel Okujeto Abrakwa. Honourable Member, you may take the floor.
Mr. Speaker, I am most indebted to you for the opportunity to deliver this commemorative statement to mark Africa Day, which is observed on the 25th of May annually by member states of the African Union. It is quite fortuitous, Mr. Speaker, that this August House resumes work after recess on this auspicious day. As we thank the Almighty for His grace and mercies in preserving us together to pursue constitutional imperatives and carry out the expectations of our constituents, we must use this significant coincidence to reflect on how we can rekindle the Pan-African spirit and work assiduously towards achieving the dreams of our founding fathers. Mr. Speaker, whether observed as a holiday or a working commemorative day, today is a great day for all true Pan-Africanists and friends of Africa all over the world. Since 25th May 1963, Africa Liberation Day has been observed as a constant reminder that colonialism, neo-colonialism, and imperialism must be defeated in all its forms and guises. To the credit of our forebears, when the first Accra Conference of Independent African States was called by the Osagefo Kwame Nkrumah on 15 April 1958, only 8 African countries had been liberated from the shackles of colonialism and imperialism. However, due to their iron opposition to colonialism and granite resolve to liquidate these evils from the face of Africa, to put it in Nkrumah's own words, they ensured the political independence struggle was won in no time. Mr. Speaker, what has eluded our beloved continent since the victory over colonialism is economic emancipation. Data from the United Nations, the World Bank, and the Brookings Institution align that 70% of the world's poorest people live in Africa, which remains the last frontier in the fight against extreme poverty. Sadly, according to the Brookings Institution, at current trends, Africa will represent approximately 87% of the global poor by 2030. And that will mean that we shall be unable to meet Sustainable Development Goal 1, which enjoins us to eradicate extreme poverty by 2030. Mr. Speaker, we all know that Africa is the youngest continent with almost 60% of the population under the age of 25. The population of sub-Saharan Africa is projected by UN data to double by 2050. Despite this stark reality, opportunities have been few for the continent's youth. The African Development Bank reports that of the 12 million young people who enter Africa's labor force on an annual average, only 3.1 million real jobs are created. In addition to limited opportunities, there is a growing feeling amongst African youth that their leadership are disconnected from them and do not appreciate their needs. The UNDP believes that Africa's wide gap between the governors and the governed, the widest in the world, may be a key factor. Whereas the average age of African presidents is 62, the median age of Africa's population is 19.5, under 20 years. Mr. Speaker, the African youth, reminiscent of the days of the West Africa Students' Union dynamism, which heralded independence on the spark of the WASU Paris and Manchester conferences, are demanding a change in living conditions and agitating for improved good governance that delivers the hopes and aspirations of an independent Africa. Africa's youth are no longer sitting on the fence, neither are they docile. They are mobilizing and impacting greatly with the tools of the digital age. From the youth-led protests that ousted strongman President Bashir of Sudan in 2018, the Robert Bobi Wine Sentamu Crusade, Fees Must Fall movement in South Africa, the End SARS campaign in Nigeria, and the Fix the Country Now agitations in Ghana. They all go beyond mere hashtags. They are the voices of millions of smart and talented activists who are determined to positively affect the fortunes of Africa, commendably staying in the continent to make their voices heard, instead of embarking on a perilous expedition across the Mediterranean in search of the proverbial greener pastures in Europe. Mr. Speaker, respectfully, we must all, as leaders, use this day to reflect on how we can meet the legitimate expectations of these young Africans through timely transformational leadership. Mr. Speaker, our continent's predicament can potentially become even more precarious when one considers the fact that the African Union failed rather abysmally to achieve its agenda of silencing the guns by 2020, which was ratified in 2013 and followed by the Lusaka Roadmap to End Conflict by 2020, adopted in 2016. Here we are in 2021, a year after the target date, and unfortunately the guns got louder instead of being silent. The Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project reveals that by the end of 2019, Africa recorded a whopping 21,600 incidents of armed conflict. All around us, Mr. Speaker, is an insurgency moving southwards from the Sahel region. We cannot feign ignorance about the havoc terrorists have wrought in many African countries, not excluding Burkina Faso, Chad, Libya, Guinea, Nigeria, Cameroon, South Sudan, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Mali. Conflicts have continued in Mozambique, Ethiopia's Tigray region, Somalia, and Burundi as I speak. We must all agree and be quaking in our boots that any continent with these characteristics, that is over 60% of the population under 25, massive unemployment, fewer opportunities, plentiful theaters of conflict, proliferation of small arms, and a perception that leadership is disconnected, presents a veritable explosive cocktail. All true Pan-Africanists and advocates of a peaceful and just world must be committed to urgent steps to redeem this quagmire. Failure is not an option. Mr. Speaker, we must therefore commend African leaders for the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Initiative, under Nkrumah's vision, which he long espoused, and that is why it is most befitting that Ghana is privileged to host the Secretariat. It is crucial that steps are redoubled, particularly in this era of post-COVID economic recovery, to create an industrialized Africa where jobs will be readily available for the youth of the continent. AfCFTA must not and cannot afford to be a sleeping giant. Its full economic potential must be realized in our lifetime. Mr. Speaker, the AU Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, must begin to bear fruits through deliberate pragmatic policies and convince all that unlike silencing the guns by 2020, this target shall be met. And meeting that noble target has only one banner, which Osajifo brilliantly captured in his 1970 authored book from his base in Conakry, titled Africa Must Unite. Nkrumah emphatically argues, quote, unless Africa is politically united under an all-African union government, I take it again, politically united under an all-African union government, there can be no solution to our political and economic problems. The thesis for Africa Must Unite remains unassailable, unquote. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude on the theme of this year's Africa Day commemoration, which is arts, culture, and heritage, levers for building the Africa we want, this must lead us to remember that we have not always been a troubled continent. We have a most inspiring history. Historians confirm that civilization began in Africa. Early geographers and chroniclers speak of well-organized, wealthy African states and empires such as ancient Egypt, the Ghana Empire, the Mali Empire, the Songhai Empire of Gao, and the great state of Kanem, not forgetting intellectual centers such as Djenné and Timbuktu, whose colleges could exchange scholars with Spain and others. All these were long before Prince Henry the Navigator in 1394 to 1460, Bartholomew Diaz in 1488, and some 10 years later, Vasco da Gama, all claimed to have discovered Africa. Mr. Speaker, Africa shall rise again. Our glorious heritage shall guide us to an even more prosperous and equitable future. May I convey to you, Mr. Speaker, an expression of my deepest gratitude for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Let me invite Honourable Member for Ebuakwa South.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement scholarly put together by my Okujeto Ablakwa, the MP for North Tong. As usual, Right Honourable Speaker, all the statements from this honourable member is well researched and scholarly, and I think it's something worth emulating. Honourable Speaker, the theme for Africans Day, as we commemorate it today, is arts, culture, and heritage for building the Africa we want. Honourable Speaker, it seems to me that instinctively Africans are used to dancing and drumming. Instinctively. There's no occasion that we want to have that we don't hear drumming and dancing and the rest of it. But art goes beyond that. I'm telling you that if we don't even find ways to patent what we do by way of art and export what we produce for international consumption, we'll be at the level of drumming and dancing. The kind of films we want to put together, the kind of cinematography we want to put together, should all be patented and exported to where it matters so we can earn foreign exchange. The maker of the statement paints a very gloomy picture of Africa, and I want to quote and make a few comments and resume my seat. Page 3, the second paragraph. We must all agree and be quaking in our boots that any continent with these characteristics, over 60% of the population under 25, massive unemployment, fewer opportunities, plentiful theaters of conflict, proliferation of small arms, and the perception that leadership is disconnected sends a veritable explosive cocktail. All true Pan-Africanists and advocates of a peaceful and just world must be committed to urgent steps to redeem this quagmire. Failure is not an option. Indeed, failure is not an option, and the picture painted is sad indeed, because we're very far from when we started African Union. Honorable Speaker, two things, in my humble view, hold the key to the future of a great Africa. The first is constitutionalism. Honorable Speaker, constitutionalism is when the people determine that their governance should not be man-based, but it is obeisance to superior law. That's what they call the Constitution. So if you pay regard to our constitutional arrangement since 1992, this great country has a governance based on what we have agreed upon, encapsulating our hopes and aspirations and reduced into a book. Africa has been bedeviled by man rule for too long. It is a pleasure of a man, and because we have this chief round, sometimes most African countries have believed that Africa is now another extension of chieftaincy, and a man wants to rule a nation until eventually he dies. Constitutionalism will also nip in the bud some of the serious conflicts. Most of the serious conflicts are related to a man who wants to rule for his life, not under a decent constitution like we have. And then people will take up arms to try and oust them. As Africa is rife with conflicts, there is no way we can have serious development. Africa should come to terms with constitutionalism, and that is the way of life, in which it's not your pleasure, like in Ghana, no matter how good you are, immediately you do 2 terms. The Constitution forbids that you should continue. That is the way to go. The second point is industrialization, as he rightly said. Honorable Speaker, all those who do serious developmental undertakings converge on the point that if you are a dealer in raw material only, you can never progress in development. And this is what I define as raw material producers. There is no value addition for us to export our natural endowment, so we earn good money, which would affect and impact on the economy. We should move from Africa must unite. It is a very good concept. Sloganeering is not equal to industrialization. Industrialization is when we are serious that the machines of the 1D, 1F concept are produced here. We want to do one district, one factory, but if all the machines for such an undertaking are imported, how can we seriously say we are affecting the economy? That is why it is my humble view that the integrated aluminium industry, the well-endowed resource side, Achebi and Yinahin, should be given some prominence. So we industrialize basic tools for farming. We should never import them. Even aeroplane parts can be done on the back of integrated aluminium industry. Honorable Speaker, it is my humble view that if we embark on constitutionalism and industrialization, we move from the slogans of and the dreams of our founding fathers will be realized. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'm also grateful to my colleague who is so scholarly, and I want to emulate him. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Let me invite Honorable Member Temale Central.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity
to contribute to the statement ably made by my colleague, Honorable Okujeto. This statement certainly could not have come at any time appropriate than the very day we have started our sitting again after we went on recess. Right, Honorable Speaker, I can't, but I agree in absolucy of all the issues raised, the challenges confronting us, and the way forward. Permit me to also indicate some of the things I consider to be some of the challenges confronting us, for which reason we are where we are. As a matter of fact, those challenges certainly may not be new to most of us or all of us. There is no denying the fact that unemployment has been a challenge confronting the entire sub-region. In fact, the ILO have indicated that the continent has a cumulative unemployment rate of 6%. And unemployment rate is something that is worrying. And that the jobs that are even available are largely unskilled or sub-skilled jobs. So what it simply means is that even the jobs that are available are not jobs that can propel the growth of any country. There is no denying the fact that no country can develop without first and foremost looking at the human resource base of the state. To the extent that your labor is not skilled, they can only make do with the jobs that are available that cannot propel the growth of your economy. Right, Honorable Speaker? The question then is, how do we overcome this challenge? How do we ensure that we improve upon the skill of the labor force of our respective countries? The best way we can do that is to emphasize access to education. And when I say access to education, I'm not just limiting it to making it free, but ensuring that the free that you have made should be qualitative. If you have free education and it is only quantitative and not qualitative, you may be deceiving yourself. Right, Honorable Speaker, another challenge that confronts us hugely is our underinvestment. And it is estimated that for us to be able to improve the living conditions of our people and create the needed jobs that can take care of the unemployment mass of our people, is that the continent collectively is about $130 to $170 billion annually in infrastructure investment, particularly fiscal infrastructure. Now, it is not a fact that we are not investing, but what is affecting this investment is that beast out there, and that beast is corruption. There is corruption in every fabric of the African society, unfortunately and sadly. And since Ghana is a member of that collective continent of Africa, we will not deny the fact that there is corruption in every fabric of our society. Right, Honorable Speaker, I can't even tell whether we wouldn't have that elements of corruption in this house. If you all agree that there is corruption in every fabric of our society and every single institution is not insulated, then it stands to reason that we may find traces of that corruption even in this august house. We need collective effort as a people to fight this. And my appeal is that since we seem to be more religious than even religious people in Africa and in this country, I think that our religious leaders have a moral duty and a responsibility that in their preachings in the churches and in the mosques and in the synagogues and in the shrines, they need to emphasize that the issue of corruption is ungodly, the issue of fighting corruption is a moral duty, and that we must all collectively fight it. Because if you do not do that, we would have investment every single year that is supposed to create the needed jobs. Those jobs will not be created because someone somewhere is taking what otherwise you would have been given to create that jobs. I'll give a classical example. A road is being constructed in a community. You have people within that community who are employed to work on that particular infrastructure. Those same people steal cement that is supposed to be used for the roads. Now, if you are supposed to use about 100 bags of cement for a bridge, the people who are engaged in that job take about 20 bags. And the 80 bags which will be used to construct a bridge, that needed 100 bags for the estimate and engineering, decision taking.
that bridge wouldn't last longer as expected. That you find who will be urging those who are engaged in that particular thievery. There's no denying the fact that yes, the allegations of corruption every day is attributed to politicians. I'm not going to defend politicians. Some politicians are fantastically corrupt. But I think that corruption should go beyond politicians. Every single individual in this nation, every single institution in this country, every single institution across the continent of Africa has a moral duty and a responsibility to fight this canker. And sometimes I am tempted to agree with Aristotle when he said that society can only change if leaders become philosophers or philosophers become leaders. So in support of this statement, in overcoming the challenges that confront us, perhaps we need to take solace in that statement, that all of us, including this House, we try to become philosophers. Else, we would come and make these statements again next year without any positive side, as we are marching towards improving the lot and improving the living conditions of our people. With these few words, thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to that brilliant statement, well-researched statement made by my comrade, friend, and a brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable, are you up on your feet?
Yes, I'm upset.
Okay. Which constituency, please?
Nelson Tremere,
Come again?
East constituency.
Come again?
Brekum East
Oh, okay.
constituency.
Okay. We have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to contribute to comment on the statement made by my senior colleague, Honorable Samuel Kujeto Ablakwa. Yesterday marks AU Day, and the theme for this year's celebration is "As Culture and Heritage, Levers for Building the Africa We Want." Since 25th May 1963, of course, the independent Africa we have all wished for, yes, we have achieved. Yet the political and economic freedom that we have also wished for, we haven't. The Speaker touched on series of issues concerning the uprisings and agitations which the youth of Africa has exhibited, which is linked up to, number one, leadership deficiency, and number two, Africa on our inability to unite as a common body or as a single continent. Few words I want to share on this is on the leadership deficiency. I use this platform to urge us all, based on the theme of this year's celebration, or this year's celebration, to unite as a common people, to exhibit competency in our leadership now that we are representative of our various constituencies, that we will repackage, rebrand our culture, our art, our everything as Africans, so we can sell it out there to the people to conform to the last paragraph of which my senior touched on, that Africa has been booked down or has been confirmed as the beginnings of civilization. So we need to live to that task. We need to portray to the Western world, to the whole world, that of course we are civilized by our way of living, by repackaging and rebranding our culture and our art and selling out there. I think this is one of the things, this is one of the ways we can show great leadership of which the world is looking or seeking from Africa. I wouldn't say much. With these few words, I commend the maker of the statement once again. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Honorable Member, let me give the floor to the lady.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I'd like your kind permission to applaud my younger brother, Togbewa Beji, also known as Samuel Okujetua Blakwa, MP for North Town, for this brilliant presentation this morning. I identify with all that he has said in his statement and only rise to add that if the theme for this celebration is art, culture, and heritage, and we look at it as building blocks for the Africa that we want, then I want to urge this House and this country to take a second look at the ways in which we allow foreign content on our airwaves. What kind of opportunities will be there for our young people and our sector's growth if we do not measure the of information that we relay on our television stations, specifically all the TV stations in our country right now do not limit themselves to the 70% of content from Ghana and 30% from foreign content. The reverse is rather true. Everybody is showing some kind of telenovela that is not adding any value to the culture, the art, and the heritage that we seek to preserve as a people. We are squeezing out the job opportunities for our young people if we do not take measures, stringent measures, to address this situation. Mr. Speaker, 12 years after the AU was formed, the ECOWAS came into being, allowing us free movement of goods and people. But I dare say that in the wake of COVID, we have not been able to do much. I want to use this opportunity to appeal to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana to look at the border communities in our country and the adverse effect of the closure of the COVID. I think that if we are able to put in protocols to open the airports, we can do same to open the borders for our people to be able to get their daily bread. The land borders, I want to also commend all the contributors to this statement and to say that the Africa we want is only achievable if we put our shoulders to the wheel and stop copying and emulating what is done in other countries at the expense of what we should be doing with our own art, our culture, and our heritage. I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Now, Honorable Kofi Amabua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Let me thank the maker of the statement, Honorable Okujetua Blakwa of South Town, for this very important statement to commemorate to mark the African Union Day. Mr. Speaker, the question must be asked: how are we doing in Africa? I think that is a very fair question to ask on this day. What happened to our forward march to economic emancipation? What is the state of Africa? The maker of the statement, Mr. Speaker, described the state of Africa, paragraph and I quote: "We must all agree and be quaking our boots that any continent with these characteristics, over 60% of the population under 25 years, massive unemployment, fewer opportunities, plentiful theaters of conflict, glorification of small arms, and perception that leadership is disconnected, presents a veritable explosive cocktail." The Speaker, indeed, that statement is very true. We are sitting on a time bomb. And you want to know why I say that, Mr. Speaker? Just look at the COVID and how this whole continent was found wanting and miserable and looking as beggars, hoping that somebody will bring us vaccines. Mr. Speaker, but why do we have to be sad? We have to be sad because it is as if God has given us everything to make us succeed. Every computer, every laptop you see in this world, raw materials is lying in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Is it gold? We have no clue what to do with this. Every place you touch in Ghana is gold. Yeah, what are we saying? We can't even control what we have. Mr. Speaker, we can't even point to one gold refinery industry here that makes us proud. We have to go to Switzerland to find the most refined diamond and gold. Mr. Speaker, I just visited Hershey's Park. Hershey's is the biggest buyer of Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire's cocoa. You go there and you look at what they've done. In fact, they have a lab showcasing where the cocoa comes from, and the children parks they've created, the things they've done. Kwame Nkrumah, Ameka Cabra, and others must be crying in their graves. Mr. Speaker, but there's something that we have not realized. We refuse to learn our history and what has brought us into where we are. Mr. Speaker, Africa is at war. What was Kwame Nkrumah's crime? He just simply believed in an ideology of a new Africa, economically strong, independent, absolutely free from imperial domination. Today, the verdict is out. The reason he was overthrown with betrayers from his own country is because the CIA, working with the British, met, plotted, and said, this man was so forceful in bringing Africa together and make it economically too strong and give the youth of Africa hope. He has to be removed. We should think about it. And I'm not saying it, just read the classified documents of the CIA. Mr. Speaker, every African leader that has emerged, that is focusing on empowering Africa and making us economically strong, is kind of removed. And we are so determined to make sure that we swallow their institutions of domination. The World Bank, the IMF, we know it. And that's all we are. That's where every day. Mr. Speaker, we can't even add value to anything that we have comparative advantage. Can't add value to anything. And we all know it. If you do not add value to the things that you have comparative advantage and create jobs in your country, you will be poor for life. On a day like this, Mr. Speaker, it's a day of reflection. And the maker of the statement made a very important point. We are still in the continent where until you turn 60 and 70, you cannot have a brain of your own to lead. So, Speaker, it is time we begin really to think about where we are. He talked about the African continental free trade. Isn't that what Kwame Nkrumah was fighting for? An Africa that will add value to its own resources. An Africa that will trade among itself. 2019 report, $470 billion of trade. Africa could only boast of 40 billion of it. All the rest was outside Africa. Everything we buy outside Africa. Mr. Speaker, we have to be very sad. But we cannot be sad and just fold our arms in defeat. The young people of this African continent must wake up and believe that the 21st century is ours. That we can just work together with diligent and hard work. And you do not have to do it on a continental level. We must simply brighten the corner everywhere we are and give our people some hope. This is the only way that the Africa we all dream of will come true. Mr. Speaker, on a day like this, we must talk about our own country, Ghana, in the context of Africa. We're celebrating the headquarters of the African Continental Free Trade. But what is our preparation? Exactly what are we doing to make sure we can compete in an Africa where it is open? Are we able to compete with Morocco when it comes to the textile industry? Are we able to compete with Nigeria and others? How ready are we? On a daily basis, we are fighting with Nigerians who are trading and selling key palm. How are we ready? Mr. Speaker, it is time for very serious leadership. A leadership that can convince everybody that we sacrifice knowing that we can succeed tomorrow. Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah leaves. He says that as for him, he is dead and gone. But the foundation he is laid, the truth he spoke, stays forever. May the new generation of Africa understand that we can go back and pick the pieces and continue to make Africa rise again. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Oh, Lord.
I am inclined to invite the leadership. Let me give Honorable Member for Afegetu South.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity.
Honorable, hold on.
Mr. Speaker, just for the records, you invited Honorable Defiamapo to make his comments on the statement by Honorable Okujeto-Ablakwa. I rather heard the voice of Honorable Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa. And Mr. Speaker, thereafter I saw Honorable Defemeko up again, and he appears to have lost the opportunity to the Member of Parliament for Afegetu. So, Mr. Speaker, just want to be sure whether the records have it that the Defemeko has spoken.
Honorable Member for Afegetu South.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to also contribute to the statement made by my senior colleague, Honorable Okujeto-Ablakwa. Right,
Honorable Member, hold on once again. With regards to the time that we find ourselves in, for purpose of records, I extend time beyond sitting. Honorable Member, I may continue.
Right Honorable Speaker, the theme for the celebration of African Day today is arts, culture, and heritage, levers for building the Africa we want. I quote from the statement made by my brother. Mr. Speaker, the theme is worth deliberating because we can find a lot of thematic areas to discuss with the theme, or to discuss the theme. Today, we sitting here as members of Parliament, and of course Africans, are commenting about today's celebration or commemorating the program, today's activity or program. How do we build this Africa when even the pencils we use here or pens we use here are brought to us from China or wherever? Mr. Speaker, how do we also build the Africa we want when all our fabrics we use in sewing our clothes are not made in a country of Ghana or in Africa? In fact, when you cast your... when you look around, or since I came to Parliament in 2017, I stand to be corrected though, I've never seen any member, including myself, the tie and dye that is produced here. Even the GTP fabric, most of us are unable to afford it. Right, Honorable Speaker. Can we get there one day when we can boast of buying what we produce here and eating it and wearing whatever we produce in this country? Right, Honorable Speaker, I cannot even move from Lekledi Kame or Lekledi Tono that shares border with Togo. I cannot even go across without questions or without visa to go to that country. So how are we going to build the Africa we want? Mr. Speaker, I am worried about our future and I'm worried about the future of our children. I think we need, as a House, to take some of these things into consideration. The borders of this country have been closed for close to a year, and nobody is talking about it. How do we visit our people? How do we go there to transact business when we have to go through several processes to be able to cross to another African country? Mr. Speaker, another consideration or another thought on the need to reopen the borders and all other borders in this African continent so that we can visit our brothers all over in Africa without the visas. We can wear what we produce here, and the chocolates, the rice, the maize, and everything that we produce in our country, because we are Africans and we want to build Africa. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Now let me give the last opportunity to Honorable Member for Afutu. Is it Afutu West?
West.
Afutu Senior West. Okay.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Congratulations to my senior colleague, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Blakwa, for this statement. Arts, culture, and heritage, levers for building the Africa we want. That's a theme for the AU Day, which falls today. The question is, what is the Africa we want? Individually, we all have our aspirations, but collectively, what do we want? And how are we going to get that ideal Africa? Sometimes we are called the dark continent, and it's all doom and gloom. But there are days when we should just look at the glass half full than half empty. There's something we have. Our unique arts, culture, and heritage is unique to us alone. I come from two continents. I am half African, I am half European. So I can have a slight basis to compare the two. But the African culture, heritage, and arts, scenery, institutions, industry is very different from what the Europeans have. It was a give and take. It was maybe one way, two way, but now, at least with hindsight of history, we cannot just always call it doom and gloom. As Africans, what do we want? What competitive advantages can we push arts, culture, and our heritage? Do we have enough museums, for example, across the continent, whether virtual or brick and mortar, to actually showcase our history and our culture and our talents and our heritage? What other means can we use to do that? And also earn a good income from something like that? Well, sometimes maybe we always think that art and culture is just about drumming and dancing. It is not. Everybody has a story to tell. If we tell our stories well as Africans, I bet that they'll be very profound. Apart from not looking at the glass half empty all the time, we must also remember that civilization is measured in the realm of arts, culture, and heritage. And if Africa wants to move to the next level, in the next realm, combining that with technology, I believe that we're making good progress. Our heritage is as diverse as it is unique on the African continent. And I think that sometimes, perhaps we have not made the most out of it. But as individual countries and continents, we must do more, spend more, budget more on the industries that will link us up with arts, heritage, and culture. Why am I saying this? The tourism industry is one. If Ghanaians, coastal communities that are often fishing, that their mainstay is fishing, are complaining about additional income, it's because maybe our tourism industry is not that well developed along the coast. With the number of forts and castles that we have in Ghana alone, we should not be complaining. We should put it to use, sweat the assets that we have, and make sure that something economical or more economical comes out from what we have. Our arts, culture, and our heritage is unique to us. To grow the Africa we want, or the Ghana we want, I'm certain that if you look at the competitive advantage that we as a country have over other countries in the sub-region, with our peace and our security and all other good adages that Ghana has, I believe that as a continent as a whole, we'll be able to make Africa a place worth living, a place worth dying for, and a place worth being the Africa that we want. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Now leadership.
Thank you. Right. Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to make few comments on the statement ably made by my good friend, Honourable Samuel Okudzato Ablakwa, who is the ranking member of the Committee for Foreign Affairs. Mr. Speaker, this is a very good statement, a very good commemorative statement, which every African must ponder over and remember that we have such a continent today. Or I stand here as a legislator or as an MP, and I'm speaking today because the earlier leaders denied themselves of certain comfort and came together as Africans and put up this structure that liberated the whole Africa of colonization and brought the countries together, which made it possible to liberate ourselves from colonial rule. Today we are speaking and we are remembering them. Because of the legacy they left, mention can be made of President Kwame Nkrumah. Mr. Speaker, I heard one professor, Professor Lumumba from Kenya, apologizing on behalf of Africans to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And his statement is like this: "Oh, Nkrumah, you told us so. You lost the debate. Africans should have listened to you." And Professor Lumumba was referring to what happened in 1963, when African leaders, 32 African leaders, met to think about the formalization of African unity. All that Nkrumah said about the future is what is happening now. So according to the renowned professor, Professor Lumumba, what he says that if the 32 African countries, African leaders, had listened to the wisdom in the debate and argument Dr. Kwame Nkrumah put across, Africa, we wouldn't have been at where we are today. So, according to the professor, I said, Nkrumah, you told us so. We should have listened to you. But Mr. Speaker, the painful aspect is this: what the African leaders refused to take from Kwame Nkrumah, what the European leaders even chastised Nkrumah on, 50 years after the demise of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, they went back to take the European Union. Nkrumah, the African and the Ghanaian son, saw it long ago that unless Africans unite, there can be no economic liberation or economic empowerment. So when he got independent for Ghana, what he said, oh, the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of the whole African continent. God being so good, the Speaker, because it was the vision of Kwame Nkrumah, he denied himself a certain comfort, left a legacy in Mali, left a legacy in Guinea, left a legacy in Burkina, a legacy in Ghana. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, he was able to bring almost all the African leaders together, hence the formation of the Organization of African Unity. 58 years down the line, we are beginning to forget about such an enviable legacy. Mr. Speaker, all that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah spoke about, he spoke about African free continental free trade, African integration, South-South cooperation, seeing ourselves as one big. Today we struggle for visas to go to US. How many states constitute the United States of America? Are they not superpowers because they are together? It pays to be united. There is unity and strength. There is power in unity. So this is what they were fighting for. And Mr. Speaker, the 4-year period for our governance structure is too short. So, after the demise of Nkrumah, the late Professor Evans Atamils, who was in Nkrumah's politics, came to see some wisdom in what Nkrumah was preaching. Today we are talking of African continental free trade. Mr. Speaker, who started it? I was part of the parliamentary delegation that went to Egypt, Mr. Speaker, led by Professor Michael Quay, to go and canvass for the hosting of the Secretariat in Ghana here. And it was a continuity. Mr. Speaker, when our team was going to Egypt, by then, the Professor Mills Mahama administration had finished building the Secretariat for the African Continental Free Trade. So we went with the pictures, and we went to see the Egyptian president, just to intercede on behalf of Ghana for the Egyptians to withdraw, for Ghana to hold the Secretariat. And when Professor Mills in 2017 took the pictures of the Secretariat the Mills Mahama administration has built for the hosting of African Continental Free Trade, they said, oh, Ghana, you are ahead of us. We were now thinking of going to lobby for the Secretariat to come and put up a structure. So if Ghana has already seen the wisdom in hosting the Secretariat and had already built the Secretariat, then we cannot compete. Professor Mills then continued to say that Egypt, you are our brothers, and even our wife. So we cannot compete with you. And Mr. Speaker, I saw the diplomatic skills lobbying by a former diplomat. Speaker Okwe prepared very well. He built on the foundation of the Mills Mahama administration. We were not now going to ask for the African Continental Free Trade. It had already been built. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm saying this. If this current administration were to lobby and now come and build a secretariat, it would have been very difficult. So we should continue and take wisdom from the activities of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Nancy Azikiwe, Haile Selassie, Jomo Kenyatta, how they recognize themselves as a united people, came together with a common vision. That is how can they achieve it. And when then another administration recognized the contribution of the North Mahama administration on the hosting of Africa at Continental Free Trade and did not want it to go in waste, and they continued from it, we succeeded in that. That is not the only thing. The North Mahama administration in building the Secretariat were also strengthening the indigenous banks. So, Speaker, we are weak. We have the Secretariat and we are trumpeting that all right. Oh, African Continental Free Trade, African Continental Free Trade. There can be no economic empowerment with that building of indigenous banks and indigenous financial pillars. The Chinese, in trying to think about decolonizing Africa, they brought Bank of China. If you go to East Africa, there's Bank of China everywhere. If you come to Ghana, the Indians in marketing in Ghana, there's Bank of Baroda and Bank of Africa here. If you come here, you have SGSSB, which is the Bank for the France. The Standard Chartered Bank and Barclays Bank, which is the Bank of the UK. Ghana, what are our banks? You are going to compete with the world in doing business, African continental trade. Mention your... This is the way to go. The political liberation is long achieved. We should now talk of economic emancipation, helping the private sector. The Standard and all those things were to help the timber merchants. What are our banks? So collectively, we should not be only happy, oh, we are hosting the African continental trade. The Nigerians here have the Access Bank. The Nigerians here have the UBA Bank. They have a number of Nigerian banks here. So any Nigerian businessman who is going to look for a loan to finance his business in the African continental free trade, you don't have a bank. Can you compete with him? Even though you have built the house, you will sleep on the veranda and you rent it to somebody and he will be sleeping in the bedroom. So Speaker, these are critical issues. So today should not just be a commemorative day. Today should be a day to reflect on the legacies left by the earlier leaders and think of what we should be remembered for. You are remembering Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, Haile Selassie. After then, which African leader, apart from Gaddafi, would they be remembered for? Mr. Speaker, the fight has not ended. The struggle has not ended. We are being overtaken by economic issues. And when you read there's rising unemployment rate, armed robbery, if you go to Mali, rebels are taking over half of the country. Go to Burkina, half of the country is gone. If you go to the borders, there are terrorists all over. You go to so the Africans that was liberated by OAU is not as peaceful as it used to be. And care must be taken that economic issues must define our new vision. Today, our president was to address the African Union in South Africa. Right today or yesterday. Mr. Speaker, meanwhile, the day had already been downgraded. What the whole Africa is praising Ghana for, African Union Day, is now a mere commemorative day. It's no more a holiday. And how I wish today were to be a holiday. My president is addressing the OAU or the AU summit. Then I will sit in and be taking wisdom. The Kwame Nkrumah 32 years, 58 years debate is long and gone. I wasn't alive. By today, I wish President Akufo-Addo will be addressing the African Union. Then the entire Ghanaian country will be glued to our TV and be watching him. Why do we always watch them when they go to UN? They are going to African Union, then that one, you downgrade it. You downgrade it, and today you are going to be the guest speaker. Who will listen to you? How many of you here know that today the president will be addressing African Union? Nobody. So it's like, Mr. Speaker, we have critical issues. And this statement, if it had not taken the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablafa, who is a ranking member, where would have been the commemorative statement? Nobody was to bring a statement for us to commemorate today. So these are critical issues. I went to Namibia with my colleagues on the other side. Mr. Speaker, they gave us free hotels, they gave us free nights because of Kwame Nkrumah. And you know what they said? They said when they were fighting for their independence, they were given scholarship by Ghana in the University of Ghana. They've not forgotten this. Namibia, fighting for their independence. Ghana, how Ghana assisted them to gain their independence. So when they see any Ghanaian, they want to worship you. Mr. Speaker, the earlier leaders left a legacy. And Mr. Speaker, wherever there is inclusion and integration, there is success. In 2009, when the North Mahama administration were in government, and they played all inclusive by including Mr. Kwame Pianin from the MPP in the economic management team. Mr. Speaker, it now stands tall that they thought about Ghana and left a legacy that no government has been able to equal that status. The highest GDP growth rate of 14.40%. Nobody. Because it was an all-inclusive thinking. it was a Ghanaian interest. And I'm not surprised that even when the Mahama administration came, they still were including the PA or Safmafu and Co. And I remember how even the Kufuor administration also integrated PB Obing. And that's where they left a legacy. So, if we want to see some Africa, it should be an Africa where my brother Afenyo Maki and Magusel will meet and think about Ghana and not MPP NDC. That is the only way to go. Professor Moses has showed the way. With his inclusion of the all-inclusive type of governance, he left a GDP growth rate of 14.40, which no government in any party. It's an enviable record. That is indelible. So it is the way to go. With this few words, Mr. Speaker, I know it's a commemorative day. I've deliberately raised it thought-provoking so that when we go, we should be thinking of how to empower our indigenous banks, to empower the private sector, and how to do things in a way that we have a vision that this is the Africa we want to see, the Ghana we want to see. I thank you for the opportunity.
Now, Honourable Member for Afutu and Deputy Leader in the House.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the treasure space to make my own comment on this statement. Mr. Speaker, I was privileged to have seen the statement prior to it being read on the House floor. And I must add my voice to colleagues who have commended highly Honorable Kujota Blacko for putting together this statement. Mr. Speaker, I have listened to many of my colleagues who have had the chance to speak on this issue. Ordinarily, I would have said adding anything more would have been superfluous. However, some few other thoughts that are yet to be expressed are held by me, and I think that this opportunity affords me the space to do so. Mr. Speaker, but on a lighter note, before my submission, I must say that Honorable Amakofi Bloa was at his best. You know, when issues of Pan-Africanism are raised, you see he and his Jomoro MP, since they are from the Nzuma area, they are in a happy mood to talk about Nkrumah, and rightly so. And I don't know whether the allegation that they don't speak Nzima is right, because some people say Jomoro MP and Amakofi can't speak Nzima. They're wanting them to pronounce 88,800 in Nzima. They can say so. I don't know whether that is right. But be that as it may, I will not invite them into unnecessary debate, and I'll proceed to make my own submission. Mr. Speaker, I can see my colleague Jomoro MP here. I don't know whether she would want to accept the challenge to pronounce 8,888 in Nzima, to let people who say she can't speak in Nzima put an end to that allegation immediately. Mr. Speaker, yes, Mr. Speaker, I just want for us to put a final rest to this matter. Mr. Speaker, I think she's ready to do that. Mr. Speaker, since she has declined the offer, the allegation remains that she can't speak in Nzima well. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about African unity. And, Mr. Speaker, if it's African unity...
Honorable Leader, hold on.
Very well, very well. I'm happy he wants to.
Honorable Minority Whip.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, this is a political house. So if any statement of this nature goes and it's not challenged, the people out there will take it, misconstrue it to be something. So, Speaker, Order 47 is clear. And the Honorable Leader knows very well that this House English. And that is what you are doing. So to challenge somebody, do this and do this, Mr. Speaker, I don't want my member to be tempted. And I must take that responsibility. That here we speak English. Therefore, Order 47 should not be breached. And my member, the leader, you know very well.
Honorable member, it's okay. Honorable leader, may continue.
Mr. Speaker, today is our first day. We have to add some humor to begin the day. Mr. Speaker, the allegation is that the honorable member for Jomoro and honorable member for Elembele cannot, the two of them, the allegation is that they cannot pronounce 8,888 in Zima. That is allegation. And the honorable member for Jomoro is in the chamber. I don't know why Honorable Ahmed would want to speak for her. She can challenge the allegation herself. She has to
Honorable member, please. Honorable, hold on.
Mr. Speaker, it's okay.
Honorable leader, may you do away with some of these antis and move on, please.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. You are crying more than the bereaved. Mr. Speaker, today, my colleague Okujeto Ablakwa has invited us to look at a serious matter, the future of our continent, and argue strongly on the theme, arts, culture, and heritage. I don't believe in the blame game school of thought. I don't. The question is whether or not our own attitude can support the desired progress as a continent. I will not look for examples elsewhere. I would start examples from our. How do we react to the intervention point for the betterment of this country? Mr. Speaker, I am a private sector person. I've done private business all of my adult life. 2 years ago, I was in southern Spain, where a company that was about 70 years old was narrating to me its humble beginnings. This is what the MD told me, that his grandfather started a business with support from the Spanish government. His father took over. It was managed successfully, and it was showing me all the machines that he had bought and the expansion there too. The issue here is that it was the government initiative that supported that business. And that business has grown, it's created jobs, and people are working, and they are exporting. And my colleague, Ahmed, talked about Barclays Bank and other indigenous institutions by certain countries that are doing well, referred to Bank of Baroda, India, and all that. The issue here is there is this attitude to get things done. But on the other side, the attitude to ensure success is not there. We must face the truth. So to me, all these arguments about imperialism and somebody conspired and whatnot. Well, it may be true, but what has been our own attitude in response to these? Rawlings, as ambitious as he was, had a big dream for his country. But I had opportunity of interacting with him at a point in my political career. And I could see that the man was a disappointed man, because perhaps he couldn't get the support of the masses to roll out his vision. Perhaps. If we should speak to each and every one of our living, surviving leaders, I'm sure they would have their own story to tell. Even us as MPs, who can share our experiences, how we intend well for our constituents, and how attitude, Mr. Speaker, destroyed such good intent. And Mr. Speaker, like I said, I won't go for examples elsewhere. I, at a point, gave out brand new BYD taxis to my constituents. Mr. Speaker, my expectation was that they will pay back, and even in 3 years, buy their own and become car owners. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, some of them, their cars are at the workshops, and they are doing what they call driving spare. They are doing spare. I look at them. I say, you want money again? Mr. Speaker, Silver Star, Suzuki. I use my own asset to guarantee 30 Suzuki, brand new, work and pay. I've taken part of the cost. No interest. They didn't pay. They didn't pay. Who should start you to benefit? Many MPs have come out with a lot of initiatives. Agbo motors in this country, government rolled out Agbo motors to fishermen. Mr. Speaker, a fisherman will get an Agbo motor from government, will not pay, but will be building his house. And when they hear that new Agbo motors have come, they will have money for another deposit. Meanwhile, the first one, they won't pay. What happened to the Rawlings Poverty Alleviation Fund? They would take it, they won't pay. Kufuor came, the same Poverty Alleviation Fund. They didn't pay. Monies went to the informal private sector. It didn't happen. When they were sent to court, it became a political matter. Kufuor's Maslow, Ghanaians didn't pay. Mohammed's Maslow, Ghanaians didn't pay. Atamo's Maslow, Ghanaians didn't pay. And Akufo-Addo's Maslow, Ghanaians wouldn't pay. Yes, that is a reality. We have to fix this country. But we have to fix this country together. We must carry a new attitude as Ghanaians and work together. Else, if I tell Ahmed, I'll go and guarantee something for your consent, they will say, if they don't pay, because I'm a politician, it means I have to pay. Mr. Speaker, if we want to speak reality, we must be bold and speak reality. People who have benefited from government support for private sector, have they paid? Have they? The Ghanaian employee in the private sector who is working for Ghanaian, is he determined to give up his best or not? Mr. Speaker, because I'm a private sector person, I'm privy to certain things today. Mr. Speaker, would you believe that masons, carpenters, tyers are coming from Nigeria and Togo? You go to real estate site. I have colleagues who are into construction. Ask them. They say, our people, they will come to work. The next day they won't come. Me, I want my business. I've gone for a loan. So you have many people working, not getting the jobs. Mr. Speaker, this is something that must be discussed. It is a reality. The person is coming from Nigeria. He's getting mason work, carpentry work, tiling, Togo, tailors. Then, Mr. Speaker, you have somebody in the country, because of attitude. Mr. Speaker, are politicians being bold to tell their stories? Are we being bold to encourage our people to put up a new poster for the new vision of Africa. So, Mr. Speaker, it's a very serious matter. Money doesn't come from somewhere out of the blue. You must create wealth. Wealth creation is about hard work. Some German clients of mine, just about 3 days, they were telling me about the experience. Alex, we are Germans. We can drink and drink our beer. However, we know that by 6 a.m. the next day we have to be at work. If you don't go, you are in trouble. So that attitude is there. I'm enjoying, but I'm placing limitation to my pleasure and fun. Do we have the same posture? Someone says, with COVID complicating matters, the time has come for each and every one of us here in this chamber to begin a new sensitization. Get the support of the media. Work with stakeholders. Get the CSOs. Let us appreciate the fact that, look, there is a problem. There is an attitudinal problem. How we respond to economic growth. Not the civil service, the private sector inclusive. Everywhere. How we handle affairs, even in state institutions. We know it. That is a reality, Mr. Speaker. Continue and sustain it, Mr. Speaker. The new generation will adapt. But, Mr. Speaker, if we don't, we will continue the blame game. Somebody will go on social media and say, Mr. Politician, you are taking a four-wheel drive. You are taking S-Gracia. You are being paid so much. Do this. You are corrupt. Then the table will turn. When you come again, oh, you are corrupt. But then there is a problem there. Mr. Speaker, it's so quick that Blakwa has brought to our attention an important matter on this day. We've talked about after. It's here. The basic production line is agriculture. We are talking about processing. Government is talking about the Batampa initiative. I fear for the success of this, whether those who are going to benefit are really going to utilize these resources for the benefit of the economy, or that they will say that, oh, nobody can do anything to me. After all, if you are being prosecuted, a chief will come and say that, oh, if you are being prosecuted, it will be like, because you are an MPP, you are an NDC, oh, because you are related to NDC, that is why you are being counted. We have to process. There is COVID. No money is coming from anywhere. The basics that we have must be treasured. And you need little capital to do some of these processes. Nothing much. So, Mr. Speaker, the whole orientation drive must be seen as urgent. It is not something that will come by accident. And if we as politicians, we are not careful and we don't charge, should I say they will come after us? They've already. And at that point, there's nothing like NDC or MPP. So let us also begin to speak truth to the populace. They say speak truth to power. Speak truth to the populace. I have not been bold to arrest my constituents who mismanaged the opportunities I gave them. So I am guilty. Because if I had prosecuted them, I'm sure I wouldn't have been here. Must it continue like that? Because they say, oh, MP should be at home. No party would want to be going around arresting people, punishing. We lack the authority to punish. Are we complicit or not? So, Mr. Speaker, the time has come. If we say we don't want our boys to go to Europe In fact, now if you go to Europe, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Then we must begin the house cleaning collectively, not NDC, not MPP. To conclude, looking at Ghana in absolute terms, we may say we have a lot of challenges that must be fixed, and rightly so, it must be. But in relative terms, Mr. Speaker, just yesterday, I got referral from a company in Cote d'Ivoire that wants to immediately come to Ghana because there's serious power crisis there. There's serious power crisis. They want to relocate. They want to come in here because they think Ghana is well endowed. The opportunities are here. By virtue of my membership with ECOWAS Parliament, I have had the privilege of traveling to some ECOWAS countries. Some you get there, you want to ask that, have you arrived? You want to ask. So we have gone far as a country, comparatively. However, we can do better. We can do better. If you look at Niger, if you look at Burkina, if you look at Mali, there are troubles there. But if we continue to look unwatched as political class, and we lack that courage to speak back to our people that, look, this is wrong, you are getting it wrong, it can't continue. It will get to a point, they will think that you are rather a bad leader, and you must go. And in going, it may not be as smooth as you want it. So, Mr. Speaker, I thank Mr. Blakwa for his courage, his choice of words, the research, all the issues he's brought afore. It is my that we take this very serious. After all, we all sprung from the same stock. We are partakers of the same nature and are sharers in the same hope. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, for intervening and expunging.
Honourable Member, you've not been given the floor.
I want to just thank you. I'm just thanking you.
And
to say that I'm a proud Nzima, I speak the language, so is Honourable Afotofe. But I won't go into the direction you are going.
Honourable members, statement time has come to an end. Let me use the opportunity to thank all of you for your contribution. Leadership, any indication?
Mr. Speaker, we are entitled. This House at this moment is fully under your pleasure, as your will. So shall it be, Mr. Speaker.
Minority.
Mr. Speaker, the deputy majority leader is right. It's past 2 o'clock, so we are now your bosom.
When are you coming tomorrow? Honourable members, the House is adjourned to tomorrow, 10 a.m.